term for future in the Hawaiian language is kawamaho. This word translated literally the time of the past. When describing native Hawaiian, we need to consider a range of cultural values that build their life concept. My personal experience and research suggest that the land, language, and culture are three main points that define the identity of Hawaiians. The more I live among these people, the more I want to learn about them. To understand what it means to be Hawaiian and the nature of the problems they face, you must overlook a Hawaiian history. According to Trevor Quirk, citing Dr. Keanu Sai in his Sovereignty Under the Stars, when you tell a Hawaiian to look to the future, they turn to the past. Historically, access to the land is both a cultural need and means of survival for Hawaiian. Their traditions teach that Hawaiians came from the land, so relationship with the Aina is very, very special. Aina, it is land in Hawaiian language. Malulani Mayer cited Collier of Maui, which summarized a native Hawaiian view of land in his work National Tropical Botanical Gardens. Aina Momona is a fertile land. The land is in our ancestor, teacher, and parent, provider, and also nurturer, continually shaping and defining us. Land, Aina, is abundant, rich, and living. We connect to our land as we connect to ourselves. To see our land as Aina Momona is to also see ourselves as full of life, fertile, abundant, and healthy. As Heltet pointed out in the academic journal article that in 1957 land reform in Hawaii includes a basic philosophy of Hawaiians regarding the land. Summarizing this philosophy in my words, by losing land, Hawaiians lose a sense of self, a sense of identity. That's why land is such a value for them. My research led me to conclude that there is another most powerful symbol of Hawaiian culture, and it is a language. After the arrival of missionaries to Hawaii, they taught Hawaiians a Bible, and in exchange, they received a land to establish themselves. Immigrants from China, Japan, Philippines, Portugal, and other countries came to work on plantations. American influence was growing. Due to the many mixed ethnicities, Hawaiian language began to yield English, the common language of communication. As a result, the Hawaiian language was suppressed for about 100 years. However, nowadays, Hawaiian are focused on the revival of the Hawaiian language and Hawaiian cultural heritage, preservation of traditions, and reinforcing values. For example, schools such as UH Manoa have implemented Hawaiian language courses, and other schools deliver Hawaiian language revitalization by instruction exclusively through the medium of Hawaiian language. That is what Ilya Igorov, who is the president of small tour company in Hawaii, told me when I met him for the interview. Contemporary native Hawaiians are part of a living culture that, like any culture, involves its commodification. Hawaiian nation cultural symbols are being commodified for tourist purposes. The best example is the complete meaning transformation of hula. The sacred dance that was a symbol which bridged people and gods became a show to invite tourists for vacation in Hawaii. Agriculture and farming were affected by tourism as well. From what I have seen, much of the state's former agricultural land is abandoned or unused. However, from some scholarly articles, Hawaiian came to recreate their cultural symbols by reclaiming their sovereignty and right to self-determination. For example, they began a food sovereignty movement. This research led me becoming aware of important Hawaiian symbols such as land, language, and cultural values. Waiting for understanding the real meaning to be a Hawaiian. Ultimately, the cultural and spiritual experience of Hawaiian native associated with the benefit from their past experience for the present. Thank you.